Lesson 39 is about the layout tab that you are able to use when you're creating and modifying tables. The layout tab is not the layout tab that's up here at the top of the ribbon. The layout tab that we're talking about in lesson 39 belongs to the group of tools that goes with the tables. Now, you have to have your mouse pointer in, you have to have the cursor, excuse me, in the table to open up the Table Tools tabs. Here's the Tables Tool tab. Here's the Design tab for Table Tools, and here's the Layout tab for Table Tools. And again, this Layout tab and this Layout tab are totally different tools, so make sure you're using the correct one. If I come outside of the table, if I click outside of the Table Tools tab disappears. If you need the Table Tools, click in the table and the Table Tools tab will appear. The Layout tab is for deleting rows and columns or inserting rows or columns using these buttons. Now it says insert above, and that means that there will be a row inserted above where your cursor is. Right now my cursor is blinking in this cell. If I click insert above, Access will put a new row above Chief Executive Officer. Same thing if I do insert below, it will put a new row below where my cursor is blinking. If I choose insert left, it will insert a new column to the left of where my cursor is blinking. And if I choose insert right, it is going to put a new column in the table to the right of wherever my cursor is located. And there's the new column. So the Layout tab will let you delete and remove, or delete and add rows and columns to your table. If you need to delete a row or a column, make sure your cursor is where you need to delete it. And if I click delete columns, it will take out the column where my cursor was located. Same thing with the row. If you want to delete this row, you can put the cursor anywhere you want to in the row and go to the delete button and click delete row, and it will remove the row where your cursor is located. The other tools on the Layout tab including merging cells together, splitting cells into more cells, auto-fitting the table, adjusting the height and width of the cells by typing in numbers, and you can make the rows and the columns the equal size, depends on the size of the columns and rows that are there to start with. You have view grid lines, and you have a select tool here too, which is also introduced to you in lesson 39 on page 2-69. But whenever you create a table and you have typed in all the text in the table, you want to adjust the column widths of that table so it won't look so off balanced and unfinished. And as you can see in this table, you have an awful lot of white space right here that's not filled up, and we have an awful lot of white space here that's not filled up. And we need to eliminate that extra white space. It just makes the table look unfinished. One of the fastest ways to do this is to select the table by clicking the Table Move handle, coming to the Layout tab and choosing Auto Fit. And when we click on the Auto Fit button, we get Auto Fit to Contents, Auto Fit to Window, and Fixed Column Width. Fixed column width, you can tell Word, exactly how wide you want your columns. Auto Fit to the Window means if you have a piece of paper on your screen that is in landscape orientation, you can auto fit the table that's on that page to extend across the entire width of that landscape orientation. Auto fit to contents will allow Word, I keep saying Access, I'm sorry if I've said that in the past and didn't correct myself, I'm talking about Word. Auto fit contents means that this will adjust the column widths to fit just enough space to get the longest text in. So you see all this extra white space here. This is the longest line in column B, and this is the longest line in column A, and we're going to shrink the columns so that they get those two long lines fit in there just perfectly. So I'm going to click Auto Fit Contents. The table shrinks to the size that is necessary just to fit those longer ones in there. There is a little white space after some of these, but that's okay. It does take into account the longest line. That's the fastest way to adjust your column widths. And you should adjust all your column widths when the book starts to instruct you to do that. And after that, it won't tell you to do it, but you're expected to do that. You're expected to use all the tools that you know as you learn them. Okay, when you adjust the column widths, Word will shove the table over to the left margin, and we want our tables to be centered between the left and the right margin. That's called horizontal center. If we want to move it back to horizontal center between this margin and this margin, we click in the table, we go to the Home tab. No, we have to select the table, I'm sorry. You select the table with the table move handle, you go to the Home tab, and you click the center button. And that will put your table between the left and the right margins, which is horizontal centered. Excuse me. Now, in the process of adjusting the column widths, we shrunk them from their original measurement. We're not really sure how wide they are. We can kind of eyeball it here from like 1.25 inches to 3.25 inches. So that looks like it's about 2 inches. But if somebody says exactly how wide is that column, then what you can do is you can hold down the Alt key, one of the Alt keys on your keyboard, and you can click up here on the ruler. Whoop, I didn't want to bring that up. Click in there and then hold down the Alt key, excuse me for that delay, and just point your mouse pointer on the column divider on the ruler, and when you click on there holding down the Alt key, it will give you, my mouse is acting crazy this morning, it will give you the measurement on the ruler of the width of that column. And you can see that column A is 1.85 inches wide and column B is 1.8 inches wide. And if you want to have the column widths exactly the same, if you want column B to be 1.85, then you can hold down your Alt key, put your mouse pointer on the border of column B, and then drag it to the right until the measurement is 1.85. Now you can see that it's 1.97. Let's go back a little bit and then re-click. 1.89. Try it again. 1.89. You have to re-click. 1.82. So somewhere in between 1.82 and 1.89 is our 1.85. There's 1.87. Close enough. Okay, our tables, both columns are pretty much equal in their measurements for width, but we wanted to also do it the fast way and go to Auto Fit Contents, which is perfectly fine to do that. But on page 271 at the top of the page, it tells you how you can adjust your column widths using the mouse by putting your mouse pointer on one of the vertical borders, and when your mouse pointer changes to that double arrow shape, then you can drag it to whatever you want it to be. But we want to keep our tables in the proper format, so don't get crazy with that. Changing the cell size. If you want to make your row 1 taller, let's select row 1 here. I'm going to drag across row 1. And if we want to make row 1 taller because it has the column headings in it, we can come to the cell size group and we can see that there's a height and a width figure here. Alright, right now the height of row 1 is 0.19 inches tall. If I want to make the height of row 1 taller, I can just drag across that number and type in a new number and press enter. And that will make the row 1 height bigger than the rest. And as you're moving through these lessons and learning how to format the tables, you will do that occasionally. And that is done in the height field in the cell size group. Now, changing text alignment in cells, we noticed that this cell, this row is taller, and we noticed that the column headings, which are the words that describe what's in the column, are in the upper left hand corner. Well, we want to put these column headings right smack dab in the middle of this bigger cell. We want name to be here and we want position to be here. So we're going to select the row and we're going to come up here to the alignment group, and if you'll notice there are examples of the alignments of the cells, and this one has a gray square around it. That means that it's showing you that this is the alignment in the upper left hand corner of the cell. We want to put our cell contents right in the center of the cell, which is that button right there. So Align Center is the name of that alignment, and I'm going to click it, and it moves the names of the cell headings directly in the middle of the cells, which looks very much more balanced and professional than having them in the upper left hand corner as they were there. So that's the Align Center position, which is this button here in the alignment group. We're going to move into lesson 40 here in a minute, where we can add some more rows and columns, give you some more examples of that.